Welcome to Litbeat channel. Today we will see short story origin and growth. The short story as a literary form has evolved significantly over the century. Let me see a century-wise of its origin and its growth. In ancient time, short story existed mainly as oral traditions, including myths, fables, and legends, often told to teach lessons. Examples like Aslib fables and the Panchatantra from India were passed down orally and focused on moral or instructive themes. Written forms of short narrative appeared in ancient civilizations, though they were not as structured as later forms of short fiction. During the Middle Ages, short stories continued to develop, especially through fables, parables, and religious tales that carried moral lessons. Works like Geoffrey Chaucer's The Canterbury Tales and Arabian Nights are key examples, as they feature a collection of shorter tales with varied themes ranging from the humorous to the philosophical. Renaissance introduced the novella, a short narrative form that has longer than a typical short story. Giovanni Boccaccio Decameron was influenced during this period. Writer also produced stories with moral and allegorical lessons, contributing to the evaluations of the short story as a form of entertainment and instruction. In the 17th century, European writers began the experimenting with short fictions, often focusing on wit and moral. Fountains of fables, which used animals to teach human values, exemplify these period storytelling. French writers like Madame de Haiti also contribute to the development of short narratives that reflected courtly life. In 18th century marked rises in the novel's popularity, but short fictions also begin to gain ground, reflecting entertainment's ideals like reasons and social critique. Satirical tales such as Candid combined philosophical themes with concise storytelling. Authors like Jonathan Swift also used the short story forms for social and political commentary. In 19th century is considered the golden ages of the short story, with many notable authors contributing to its development. Edgar Allan Poe is often credited with shaping modern short fiction, emphasizing brevity and unity of effects. Writers like Nathaniel Howard and Leo Tolstoy expand the genre potentials, and short story gained popularity through magazines and journals. In the early 20th century, short stories became more experimental, with authors like James Joyce and Virginia Woolf exploring psychological depth and unconventional narratives. Minimalism has also emerged with a writer like Ernest Hemingway, who used the economy of language. The World Wars influenced many stories as the writer captured the disillusionment and the drama of the time. In mid of 20th century, post World War II, short stories become more diverse, with writers like Flannery O'Connor and Raymond Carver exploring complex themes such as alienations and the human connections. This genres embraced multiple narrative voice and reliable narrators and a fragmented timeline. Magazines like the New York continue to provide a platform for emerging short story writers. In late 20th century and behind, globalizations and the rises of digital platform brought short stories to a global audience. Writers from diverse backgrounds, including Alice Munro and George Sanders, brought a fresh perspective to the genre. Additionally, the internet led the rise of flash fictions, with the short story and a thousand words becomes popular on blogs and social media, making short fictions more accessible than ever. Let's we recall this chapter. First one, what was the role of the oral tradition in the development of the short story in ancient time? Oral tradition played a crucial play by passing down myths, legends, fables, and folklore that were often concise and carried moral or instructional lessons, forming the earliest examples of short story. Notable examples including as fables and the Indian Panchatantra. How did the short story evolve in the Middle Age? During the Middle Age, short stories took the form of fables, parables, and religious tales. Many of didactic purpose, key examples are the Canterbury Tales by Geoffrey Chaucer and Arabian Nights, who contained shorter, self-contained story. Next one, what influence did the Renaissance have on story development? The Renaissance saw the rises of the novella, a form longer than a typically short story, but still precursor to modern short fictions. Giovanni Boccaccio da Cameron is an influential example that helped to shape the development of the short form. Next one, what is the fabulous and how did they contribute to the short stories? Fabulous or humorous, often Bedi tales from medieval France. These shorter stories focused on the satire and witty narratives, contributing of the development of short fictions as a form of entertainment and small commentary. What did the 18th century shape the short story? In the 18th century saw the rises of the novel, but short fiction gained its own distinctive form, influenced by entitlements, values such as reasons and social critique. Authors like Olda and Jonathan Swift used short narratives to explore philosophical and satirical themes. Next one, what is the significance of Edgar Allan Poe in the history of the short story? Edgar Allan Poe is credited with shaping modern short fictions, emphasizing brevity, unity of effects, and precision. His works like the Telltale Heart and The Fall of the House of Usher set a standard for the concise and focused short story. Next one, how did magazine influence the development of short story in the 19th century? Magazines like the New Yorker in the mid 18th century provided a platform for emerging writers, helping to popularize short stories as a literary forms and offering a space for authors to publish their work. Next one, what role did modernisms play in the evaluations of the short story? Modernism introduced experimental techniques like stream of consciousness and fragmented narrative, as seen in works by James Joyce and Virginia Woolf. These authors used short stories to explore psychological depth and subjective experience. Next one, how did Ernest Hemingway influence his short story telling in the early 20th century? Ernest Hemingway minimalizing style, emphasizing economy of language and showing rather than telling, had a significant impact on the short story forms. Stories like Hills Like White Elephants reflect his focus on concise, impactful narrative. What impact did World War One and Two have on the short story? The World Wars influences short story by inspiring themes of trauma, disillusionment, and the horror of the war. Writers like Heinrich Maria Remarque used short fictions to capture the emotional and psychological impact of war on individuals. Next one, how did postmodernism affect short story writing? World War II, short stories become so more diverse and complex, featuring multiple narrative voice and reliable narrators and a non-linear structure. Writers like Flannery O'Connor and Raymond Carver delved in the alienations and the complexity of modern life. Next one, what are some characteristics of contemporary short story? Contemporary short stories influenced by globalizations and digital platform often address personal, social and political issues. Writers like Alice Munro and George Sandro and have helped elevate the genre, making it a respected form of literary expression. Next one, what is the flash fictions and how has it evolved in the digital age? Flash fictions refers to very short story, typically under 1,000 words. With the rises of the internet and social media, these forms of becomes more popular with many story published on blogs, online journals, and through social media platform. Next one, how did the novella influence the short story in the Renaissance? The novel are longer than a short story but shorter than a full-length novel, emerging during the Renaissance and influenced the development of the short story. Writers like Giovanni Boccaccio used the novella and presented collections of tales, shaping the genre structure. The next one, what role do themes of alienations and the human condition play in postmodern short story? Postmodern short stories, such as those by Raymond Carver, explore the alienations of individuals in the modern, often fragmented world. These stories focus on the complexities of human relationships and the individual's place within society. Thank you, viewers. Thanks for watching this video.